So here I am with another vlog and another tea with me. This is my what I've got for a treat today. It's a peanut blondie with some raspberries and cream. Looks delicious. And here I have this really beautiful flower tea. It was given to me by my friend. I'll talk a bit more about it in a second. Let's try and pour it out. Oh, that looks so pretty. The glass teapot I have stops most of the big leaves going through to the spout because it has a kind of wire thing that stops it. But it's so beautiful. It looks like potpourri. Oh my goodness, lovely. Hi, so I'm here again. I'm once again not quite sure which bit of the camera to look at. It's lovely to see you, and thank you very much if you've looked at my last vlog. There are not that many of you, but I so enjoyed doing it. I thought I would do it again. I think I'm feeling better this week about how things are going. I would say I'm still in a time of transition, which is some of the most difficult times to be in. You're not in one place or the other, and everything's a bit uncertain. I'm hoping to move house soon, and I've kind of zoned down on where I think I'll move to, and I found a house that I thought looked very nice and decided I'd make an appointment to go and see it, which I did. And I took the day off work, and I went to this place on the train. Took quite a while, and I trudged around, and eventually I kind of found the house. And then the skies just opened. I was pelted with hailstones and rain, and I went from looking fairly respectable to just looking like a drowned rat. It was biblical. I thought, what, was someone trying to tell me something? Anyway, I was at the house. I was waiting outside, and the agent phoned me up and confirmed I wanted to see the house. And I said, yes, want to see it. Thank you very much. I'm outside now. And he turned up, and we rang the doorbell because he evidently didn't have a key. And the doorbell was connected to the mobile phone of the person who owned the house. And he answered it over his phone and said hello. And we said, well, hi, we're here to see the house. And he said, oh, well, I'm in Spain on holiday, so I'm afraid you can't get in. So, sorry about that. I'm not there. And I noticed there was a key safe on the side of the door. And I said, well, look, I've come on the train to see this house, so there is a key safe there. Could you possibly just text the gentleman from the agency the number so we could see the house? I've really come quite a bit to see this house. And he just rung off the phone. He wouldn't let us in. So it was really bizarre. And then I tried to see the back of the house at least, to see what it looked like. But it was really all bricked off. He'd built quite a high wall, so you really couldn't see the back of the house at all, which probably means it's quite secure from one point of view. But I was really left with very little impression of this house. And that the agent apologized profusely because he said it had all been confirmed and everything. So I guess it was just one of those things, but it was just weird. And then I thought, okay, this is disappointing, but I'll walk around the neighborhood and I'll see what it looks like and how I feel, because I've worked in this place in the past, but of course that's not the same as moving there. So I walked around a bit, and it was nice, and I thought, well, for a treat, I'm going to go for a nice lunch, because I've really had a bit of a disappointment here. So I went to this lunch, which the cafe looked really lovely, and I ordered my lunch, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and half an hour went by, which in a cafe is a long time. I mean, it's really unheard of that you would wait that long. Anyway, finally I asked them, I said, excuse me, is my lunch coming? And they said, oh, yes, it's coming. And they brought it, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. This meal, I would say it is one of the worst meals I've ever had in my life. I was so hungry. I did eat a little bit of it, but it was dreadful. It was like leather. The chips that came with it were quite nice, but that's all. Anyway, I was not happy, but I wasn't going to make a scene because I find that difficult, and I just decided to get my way home after that. But it was, I'd so much thought I was going to have a nice day, and then it all was really quite disappointing. But I did have a look around that area, and that was valuable, and I won't give up on it. I will still look for other properties there. I tried to email back to see the same property again today, but the estate agent didn't answer my email at all. So I just find this really weird because I thought that, people really wanted to sell houses and to make a sale, or at least keep in touch with someone that wants to buy a house. But I'm finding it's not that simple. So there you go. I was very glad to get home to the cat and a bit of Netflix. This week I've really been enjoying The Legend of Hill House on Netflix. I'm sure that's been on for years and I'm just really, really behind. But it's very, very interesting, and it's got a lot of the same actors that are in Fall of the House of Usher. And it's interesting because it's a horror series, but it really defies horror tropes. I mean, a lot of things, the plot twists around, and the things that happen are just not what you would have expected were going to happen. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and I fully intend to see it all. And I've also been enjoying another program on Netflix. Oh, it's about this young man in New York who's a wannabe makeup artist, makeup influencer, and it's got Kim Cattrall in it. It's called Glamorous, My Glamorous Life or something. Oh, this is terrible. Anyway, it's great fun. And I'm kind of amused because the young man, he makes all these videos for YouTube, a bit like me. Apparently he has 1,000 subscribers, which I don't. I'm now at 685, which is lovely. But he has 1,000 subscribers, but they don't all watch his films, and he gets very little feedback and blah, blah, blah. And that kind of made me think of me because, sometimes you do put a lot of effort into making a little film or whatever, and it just really hardly anyone sees it. And then sometimes you put something out and it gets like thousands of views. So it's very hit and miss. You don't know what's going to happen, but obviously I'm enjoying it, so I'm still doing it. So I'm enjoying both of those. And I also got on DVD the 6th season of American Horror Story. Again, totally behind with all that, but I had a break because I watched the first 5 seasons of American Horror Story, and they were quite dark. I mean, it's brilliant drama, the actors are amazing, etc., etc., but I just needed a little rest. So I've now got Hotel. The last one I did was Freak Show. It was incredible. I mean, I don't know how they imagined all this out. It was just, oh, really, really incredible. So I will start watching Hotel when I finish The Legend of Hill House. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. It's really nice the way they have the same actors kind of in a repertory company coming back to be in their subsequent series. I mean, sometimes the actors miss a few series and then they come back, and some of them seem to be in all of them. And it's really interesting to see them as actors play totally different characters. So again, that's another nice thing about American Horror Story. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. Oh, it's lovely. So refreshing. I was given this tea by a friend whom I've not seen for years, and we met up with recently in quite sad circumstances, but she gave me this lovely gift. So here we are, turn around. It's this tea called Peace Herbal Tea, and it's from a company called Starchild. And Starchild, oh, it's a beautiful name, and it looks kind of like potpourri. And let's see. Oh, I'm doing this so badly. Anyway, basically it contains chamomile and passion flowers, and looks like some rose petals in there as well. But it's lovely tea. It's so beautiful. It's almost like, yeah, it looks too good to eat. And she also gave me a beautiful essential oil, also it's called Space Aroma, and you can maybe see there. I've got my essential oil burner going with this Starchild Space Aroma blend, and it's let's try and get it out of the box. Yes, that is, it's so pretty. It's obviously there's no smell-o-vision, but it's a lovely, uplifting, kind of very refreshing smell. So that was very kind of her. And she lives in Glastonbury, and she also gave me this candle, and it's called the Glastonbury Unity Candle. And it's a long sort of account, but I think since 2010 they've been making these candles, and basically at 9 o'clock every night in Glastonbury they light a candle, I think on the Tor, and they all pray for world peace and the world coming together, which is just really lovely. And I think perhaps at 9 o'clock tonight I'm going to light this candle and be grateful for what I've got and say a little prayer, because I think that's really beautiful. And they even give you a special taper from Glastonbury so that you can use that taper to light the candle. It's a lovely peaceful blue colour, and it reminded me, because let me put my gimbal up again. Yes, sorry, that was a little bit askew-whiff. It was lovely because it reminded me that I've actually been in Glastonbury once. It was a few years ago, and I was filming this feature film called It Came From the Below, and it was successful. I think it's now online, but I mean, you were able to get DVDs of it and stuff, and that was really thrilling. And we actually filmed it during one of the COVID lockdowns, and we were able to have permission to film in the Wookey Hole Caves, and another one, the Ingleborough Caves in Yorkshire. You can imagine, it was absolutely incredible. Most people go through the Wookey Hole Caves in about 20 minutes. They have a guided tour, but we were there for like over a week, and it was just stunning. And Glastonbury is one of the nearest towns to Wookey Hole Caves. So I visited there, and I'd always wanted to go there because it just sounded so mystical and beautiful. And I did get to visit, though of course because it was in lockdown, many things were shut, which was kind of a disadvantage. But yeah, I really loved it. I remember in the morning we were staying at a YWCA, all the cast and crew, and I got up and I looked out, and you could see Glastonbury Tor in the distance, and it was covered with mist, and then there was all this mist around the trees, and it just looked amazing. When we went to Glastonbury, I saw, from the outside a lot of the lovely shops and things, and I remember we went there just as a little explorer because none of us were needed that day for filming, and we arrived and we said to this gentleman, could you recommend a cafe, because we'd really like to have some lunch. And he said, well, if you're hungry, there's soup at the church. And we were like, oh, well, thank you, but we didn't want to take soup that was for people who were presumably struggling. So we found a cafe. But I thought, how many times would you go to a place and ask about getting something to eat and they offer you free soup? It's not usual, but I guess really, I'm sure some churches give out soup a lot, but it just seemed awfully nice. And I remember we ended up, it was kind of a vegan cafe we went to, and had a lovely snack and looked around, and the Glastonbury Tor was kind of in the distance, but I was being given a lift there by someone else in the cast, and we didn't have all day, so I couldn't just go and climb up to the Tor, which I would have really liked. But still, it was wonderful to look round. I mean, Glastonbury is a beautiful place, and now I know my friend lives there because I hadn't seen her for years. We've planned that we're going to meet up there, and I'm so excited because I'm going to see all the places that she really loves there, and that's lovely. And it's funny because my mum, many years ago, she brought home this postcard of a something called the Glastonbury Thorn, which my family are all a bit sort of hippie-ish, so we love this kind of thing. And apparently there was a legend that Joseph of Arimathea came to Glastonbury, thousands of years ago, and he planted his staff in the earth, and it grew into this thorn tree, and the thorn flowers would come out at Christmas time, which is very rare, and it was regarded as a very sacred and special tree because it was just beautiful. And they had on the postcard, which I can't find at the moment because I'm moving house, I'm sure it's somewhere because I would have never got rid of it. I'll try and put it into another video. It was beautiful, and it showed the Glastonbury Thorn kind of at sunset, or with the sun coming down behind it. It looked stunning. And of course, when I went to Glastonbury, I was determined, even if I didn't have a lot of time, I was going to see the Glastonbury Thorn. And I suddenly saw this sign in the street that said something about thorn. And I went up to it, and I'm sure I've taken some pictures of it, which I can put into the film. But it said that this is where the Glastonbury Thorn used to be. And it explained that it had been attacked by someone. Some horrible person had thrown acid over it or poured acid onto it and really, really hurt the thorn tree. And it had been removed and kind of nursed back to some wellness and was looking better. So they put it back where it was, and someone attacked it again. And not with acid or poison, but in some, maybe they burned it or something. Anyway, they then removed the whole tree to a place of secrecy where it now is, and they've managed to coax some seedlings, I think, back out of the original tree, and kind of cross them over with other thorn tree seedlings. But unfortunately, the trees that they've managed to produce do not have this thing of flowering at Christmas, or whatever was the mystical thing that the old Glastonbury thorn used to do. None of the offshoot thorn trees do that. So, but the remaining, what they have left of the tree is now being kept in a secret place, which is really sad, because I mean, I know it's only a small thing, but for years I had looked forward that I'm going to go to Glastonbury one day and I'm going to see the thorn tree. There's also a place in Glastonbury called the Chalice Well, and of course it's got all the legends of King Arthur around it as well. And you can imagine, it was lovely to be there. I mean, even though you couldn't see everything, it was a very special time of filming that movie, The Creature from the Below, and being there. I remember when I was at Scottish Youth Theatre when I was a little girl, we did a street theatre about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and our teacher was very much of an Arthur lover, and he told us that the wizard Merlin sleeps in a cave somewhere near Glastonbury, privately, and when the world really needs him, he's going to wake up and come back and help the world. And I'm kind of like, Merlin, you could come back now. We need you. That would be good. You could stop sleeping. But maybe, Merlin thinks we need to get a bit worse off before he's going to come back. But I remember when my teacher told me that, and it was like, ooh, shivers went down my spine. And yes, I've been very interested now in looking at some poems about King Arthur. I've not done any yet, but I think I'm going to start doing some. I've really loved recording these poems that I've been putting on my YouTube. They're not getting a huge number of views. I mean, I think one of them got as few as 2 views, but it's now gone up to 10. And then I think one of them, I did a Christina Rossetti poem and it's had 23 views. Now, in YouTube terms, that's not even like a fraction of a peanut shell. It's nothing. But it's still nice, and that's, as I said last time, the wonderful thing about YouTube is you can be creative and put something out if you want to, and it's up to you, and you decide what to do and how you're going to put it together, and that's just really lovely. So, gosh, what else was I going to talk to? I went to the Hope UK conference last week, which what I was talking about in advance the last time I was here, and it was just a lovely conference. It was lovely to be with my friends again, and to meet up with them. And Hope UK is a charity that tries to help young people, especially, though everybody of every age, make drug-free choices. We're really trying to encourage young people to not vape, or to take cannabis, or get involved in drug culture. I'm a very imaginative person. If people take drugs because they want to escape, or because they want to have some weird trip and stuff, I kind of understand it, but I firmly believe that you only need your own imagination to create whatever you like. You do not need drugs or anything. And I'm not waving my finger at or judging anybody. I mean, some of the educators in Hope UK were former drug addicts, or some of them have lost someone tragically to a drug overdose. But it's just a very dedicated and lovely group of people that are trying to, as I say, help people make drug-free choices. Every day in the papers we read about some awful event that's happened because of a drug overdose, or because someone had a bad reaction to drugs, even over-the-counter medicines from the chemist. It's like an epidemic that nobody acknowledges. So yeah, that's what Hope UK are trying to do. And because of my caring duties for the last few years, I've not been so much involved with Hope UK, but we did some refresher workshops and some catch-up talks about drug information, and that was all really helpful. And I'm going to go with another educator to a drug education session, I think on the 30th of April this month. So I think that will be the first session I've been at for this year, certainly. And hopefully in the summer, when I get myself settled down, I will start doing more sessions of my own again, because although it can be a little bit daunting going to a group of strangers, whether it's a business or a school or a church or something, and telling them about drugs, you have to remember that, first of all, they've usually asked you to come, so they think there's a reason that you should come, and they're prepared to listen to you, and it's worth doing. So I'm glad I have the opportunity to work for Hope UK in that way. And also, as a kind of a bonus, the conference hall where we were staying, beside it there was this beautiful bluebell wood. I mean, it was just stunning. I made a little film for my YouTube called Lost in a Bluebell Wood, and I put together some of my footage just from my phone to some music by Jeff Harvey, who writes beautiful fantasy music. Oh, it was wonderful. I was a bit sad that my camera wasn't better, because although it all looked fine on my phone, when I put it onto the computer, it all looked a tiny bit grainy and it wasn't very good. I suppose basically a phone camera does not have the depth of field that a proper film camera has. And I have in the past had a little kind of camcorder that was quite good quality when I bought it, but I think it's got a bit old. And I think when I sell my house eventually and I have a little money, I will buy a reasonable quality film camera that I can use just to take little films of whatever I want to do, or maybe just to use to do my YouTube vlogs or whatever. There's so many things you can do. Yeah, so that was another thing that happened that was really lovely, along with the bad experience of going to look at the house and the people being in Spain and getting drenched with hailstones and stuff. So it was rather a mixed week. Oh, I'm just going to have a sip of tea. Okay. One more thing I will mention about this week that was really lovely was that I was sending in an invoice for my acting work for the first time in quite a long time. This year, I think it's the first invoice I've sent in for being actor this year. I was in a stage production called Not Such Stuff, and it comes from the Shakespeare quote, "Not such stuff as dreams are made of," which is in The Tempest, I believe. Oh, is that awful? I think it's The Tempest. And it's basically the premise of the play is a lot of Shakespeare's heroines are put together into one room, and they talk about their experiences in fairly heightened language. I mean, it's not exactly Shakespearean, but some of it is. But it's very formal, and they talk about their experiences, their opinions of the world, and how they were treated in the play. And as you can imagine, I mean, the Katerina from The Taming of the Shrew, she has a lot to say about how she was controlled and beaten up, and it hurts her feelings that we find that funny. And, you know, I was playing Lady M. I won't say her full name because it's not lucky, but, you know, the Scottish lady, Scottish play. And I've always wanted to play Lady M, so I finally got the chance to do that. Although, obviously, I didn't have the amount of time on stage Lady Macbeth. I said it, oh no, that Lady M would have had in the proper play, but still it was very nice to get inside her head and see what she thought. And yes, to hear what Ophelia thought and Juliet thought. And it took me back to all the times that I've read Shakespeare's plays or gone to see them. I've not really done a lot of Shakespeare. I did a little bit at drama school, did a bit at secondary school, but what I would say is that certain actors do a lot of Shakespeare, and that's the main thing that they do, and it's lovely. But you know, it's not really come across my path. So that was very interesting. And of course, Juliet was in it, and she had some wonderful lines that were very funny. And it reminded me of going to Verona and seeing Juliet's house. And it's interesting because if you've ever been there and you see the statues of Juliet, she's very curvaceous and robust, looks like she has a sense of humor. And obviously they don't view her there as a sort of weeping willow or a faint-hearted sort of female. Juliet comes over as warm, passionate, and a person with a sense of humor. And you can even see her cat bowl. There's a little cat bowl of her era on display in the house, and it's beautiful. But the way that the writer Chris Wynd views Juliet is also as a strong, robust woman with her own opinions and, you know, her own take on all the things that happen in the play. So we had we did a short run in 3 different venues, and I must say that when we did our dress rehearsal, it was at Theatre 62 in Wickham, and I was just so happy to be in a theatre again. I cannot tell you. I mean, with COVID and with my caring duties, I've not really had the chance to be in the theatre. So that was amazing. When I saw, you know, the dressing room, you know, with lights around the mirrors and the stage, and the, you know, there was even a theatre bar with a little jester sign, I think, and it was just all so familiar and so lovely to be back in that creative space. And as I say, this week I sent in an invoice for my fees, and that was really lovely. And I can only hope that this year there will be more acting work and more things taking off. As I say, I'm a bit stuck because I don't know where I'm going to be living, and what exactly is happening. But well, just keep positive, and as soon as I know where I am and what I'm doing, I can really go for it and sort of hit the ground running. So I think that's all my news for now, and thank you very much for listening. And I've enjoyed doing this vlog. I don't really mind that not lots of people look at it. It's just nice, and thank you for supporting me, and I will hopefully see you again in another few weeks or a month or something and tell you what I've been up to. And if you like this film or any of my other films, please, if you could do like and subscribe, that would be lovely. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Now I think I'm going to try to have a little bit of my blondie. Oh, that looks lovely. Delicious. Oh, no, I'm just going to put that. That was lovely. Wow. Okay. So my tea, my Star Child oil from my friend. A lot to be grateful for. Okay. So it's coming up for 9 o'clock, which is the time when apparently you're supposed to light the peace pilgrim candle in order to join in the Glastonbury prayer for peace and unity. And they also give you a taper in the package, which is apparently from the original pilgrim light in Glastonbury. So I'm just going to light my candle. Hope for peace and unity. And I'm grateful to meet up with my friend again after such a long time. I'm grateful that she's going to meet up with me and, you know, to reflect on all those wonderful things that happened, which were really nice. So I'm going to leave the candle burning, but I'm going to finish off this video.